His native caution had returned to him. Raffles pinched my arm.
"Yes, it ended splendidly but for you," said he. "But what about this escape of the leader of the gang, that fellow Crawshay? What do you think of that, eh?" "I havena the particulars," replied the Scot. "Good!" cried Raffles. "I was only afraid you might be on his tracks once more."
Mackenzie shook his head with a dry smile, and wished us good evening as an invisible window was thrown up, and a whistle blown softly through the fog.
"We must see this out," whispered Raffles. "Nothing more natural than a little curiosity on our part. After him, quick!"
And we followed the detective into another entrance on the same side as that from which we had emerged, the left-hand side on one's way to Piccadilly. Quite openly we followed him, and at the foot of the stairs met one of the porters of the place. Raffles asked him what was wrong. "Nothing, sir," said the fellow glibly.
"Rot!" said Raffles. "That was Mackenzie, the detective. I've just been speaking to him. What's he here for? Come on, my good fellow, we won't give you away if you've instructions not to tell."
The man looked quaintly wistful, the temptation of an audience hot upon him. A door shut upstairs, and he fell. "It's like this," he whispered. "This afternoon a gentleman comes after rooms, and I sent him to the orfice. One of the clerks, he goes round with him and shows him the empties. And the gentleman's particularly struck on the set the coppers is up in now. So he sends the clerk to fetch the manager, as there was one or two things he wished to speak about. And when they come back, blowed if the gent isn't gone. Beg your pardon, sir, but he's clean disappeared off the face of the premises." And the porter looked at us with shining eyes.
"Well?"
said Raffles. "Well, sir, they looked about, and at larst they give him up for a bad job. Thought he'd changed his mind and didn't want to tip the clerk, so they shut up the place and come away. And that's all till about half an hour ago, when I takes the manager his extry special star. In about 10 minutes he comes running out with a note, and sends me with it to Scotland Yard in a hansom. And that's all I know, sir, straight. The coppers is up there now, and the tech, and the manager, and they think their gent is about the place somewhere still. Least, I reckon that's their idea, but who he is, or what they want him for, I dunno."
"Jolly interesting," said Raffles. "I'm going up to inquire. Come on, Bunny. There should be some fun."
"Beg your pardon, Mr. Raffles, but you won't say nothing about me."
"Not I. You're a good fellow. I won't forget it if this leads to sport." "Sport!" he whispered as we reached the landing. "It looks like precious poor sport for you and me, Bunny."
"What are you going to do?"
"I don't know. There's no time to think. This to start with."
And he thundered on the shut door. A policeman opened it. Raffles strode past him with the air of a chief commissioner, and I followed before the man had recovered from his astonishment. The bare boards rang under us. In the bedroom we found a knot of officers stooping over the window ledge with a constable's lantern. Mackenzie was the first to stand upright, and he greeted us with a glare.
"May I ask what you gentlemen want?"
said he.
"We want to lend a hand," said Raffles briskly. "We lent one once before, and it was my friend here who took over from you the fellow who split on all the rest, and held him tightly. Surely that entitles him, at all events, to see any fun that's going. As for myself, well, it's true I only helped to carry you to the house, but for old acquaintance I do hope, my dear Mr. Mackenzie, that you will permit us to share such sport as there may be. I myself can only stop a few minutes in any case." "Then ye'll not see much," growled the detective, "for he's not up here. Constable, go you and stand at the foot of the stairs, and let no other body come up on any consideration. These gentlemen may be able to help us after all." "That's kind of you, Mackenzie," cried Raffles warmly. "But what is it all? I questioned a porter I met coming down, but could get nothing out of him, except that somebody had been to see these rooms, and not since been seen himself."
"He's a man we want," said Mackenzie. "He's concealed himself somewhere about these premises, or I'm very much mistaken. Do you reside in the Albany, Mr. Raffles?"
"I do."
"Will your rooms be near these?"
On the next staircase but one."
"You'll just have left them?
"Just."
Been in all the afternoon, likely?"
"Not all."
"Then I may have to search your rooms, sir. I am prepared to search every room in the Albany. Our man seems to have gone for the leads, but unless he's left more marks outside than in, or we find him up there, I shall have the entire building to ransack."
"I will leave you my key," said Raffles at once. "I am dining out, but I'll leave it with the officer down below."
I caught my breath in mute amazement. What was the meaning of this insane promise? It was wilful, gratuitous, suicidal. It made me catch at his sleeve in open horror and disgust. But with a word of thanks, Mackenzie had returned to his window sill, and we sauntered unwatched through the folding doors into the adjoining room. Here the window looked down into the courtyard. It was still open, and as we gazed out in apparent idleness, Raffles reassured me.
"It's all right, Bunny. You do what I tell you, and leave the rest to me. It's a tight corner, but I don't despair. What you've got to do is stick to these chaps, especially if they search my rooms. They mustn't poke about more than necessary, and they won't if you're there."
"But where will you be? You're never going to leave me to be landed alone?"
"If I do, it will be to turn up trumps at the right moment. Besides, there are such things as windows, and Crawshay's the man to take his risks. You must trust me, Bunny. You've known me long enough."
"Are you going now?"
"There's no time to lose. Stick to them, old chap. Don't let them suspect you, whatever else you do."
His hand lay an instant on my shoulder, then he left me at the window and recrossed the room.
"I've got to go now,"
I heard him say,
"but my friend will stay and see this through. And I'll leave the gas on in my rooms, and my key with the constable downstairs. Good luck, Mackenzie. Only wish I could stay."
"Good-bye, sir,"
came in a preoccupied voice,
"and many thanks."
Mackenzie was still busy at his window, and I remained at mine, a prey to mingled fear and wrath, for all my knowledge of Raffles and his infinite resources. By this time I felt that I knew more or less what he could do in any given emergency. At least I could conjecture a characteristic course of equal cunning and audacity. He would return to his rooms, put Crawshay on his guard, and stow him away? No, there were such things as windows. Then why was Raffles going to desert us all? I thought of many things, lastly of a cab. These bedroom windows looked into a narrow side street. They were not very high. From them a man might drop on to the roof of a cab, even as it passed, and be driven away even under the noses of the police. I pictured Raffles driving that cab, unrecognizable in the foggy night. The vision came to me as he passed under the window, tucking up the collar of his great driving coat on the way to his rooms. It was still with me when he passed again on his way back, and stopped to hand the constable his key.
"We're on his track,"
said a voice behind me.
"He's got up on the leads, sure enough, though how he managed it from yon window is a mystery to me. We're going to lock up here and try what like it is from the attics, so you better come with us if you've a mind."
The top floor at the Albany, as elsewhere, is devoted to the servants, a congeries of little kitchens and cubicles, used by many as lumber rooms, by Raffles among the many. The annex in this case was, of course, empty as the rooms below, and that was lucky, for we filled it, what with the manager, who now joined us, and another tenant whom he brought with him to Mackenzie's undisguised annoyance.
"Better let in all Piccadilly at the crown ahead,"
said he.
"Here, my man, out you go on the roof to make one less, and have your truncheon handy."
We crowded to the little window, which Mackenzie took care to fill, and a minute yielded no sound but the crunch and slither of constabulary boots upon sooty slates. Then came a shout.
"What now?"
cried Mackenzie. "A rope," we heard, "hanging from the spout by a hook."
"Sirs,"
purred Mackenzie.
"Yon's how he got up from below. He would do it with one of the telescope sticks, and I never thought that. How long a rope, my lad?"
"Quite short, I've got it." "Did it hang over a window? Ask him that." cried the manager.